Hello. I look great right now. Today I'm gonna be starting Sunrise on the Reaping. Yeah. I just got an online PDF of it. I requested it from the library, but they haven't told me it's there yet. So I don't think it's there. I don't even know. And I can't wait any longer. So I'm starting with the PDF. Bruh, not Burdock Everdeen. Okay, so it's the same day. I'm now 25% of the way through the book. Ignore my pimple patch. So I just wanted to give a little like quarter quell update. Anyway, so I guess I should like insert a picture, I might forget. But as I read, I have been taking notes in the notes app on my phone of just like little shocking moments, little predictions and stuff. So maybe I'll enter it here, but if you see nothing, I definitely forgot. But there, like, my first thing I need to talk about is so many characters that have connections to people we know or that we know from the original 4 books have been showing up, and it's crazy. But it's like I can already feel, well, I don't feel like people are really gonna be criticizing this book that much, but I feel like I hate seeing my reflection. I hate that. I feel like a complaint that might happen is people being like, oh, like it's too many cameos, like too much fan service. But I actually think the way that they have all been worked into the book makes a lot of sense. And only makes it like more interesting. For example, Katniss's mother and father are in the book. Her father is like one of Haymitch's literal friends. Lenore Dove, Haymitch's girl, she's related to Lucy Gray. Crazy. Which I think there's this random sentence, whatever, about like Lenore, how she was like taken in by her uncles and like she is a Baird. And I said, what? She's a Baird? So, right. So there's that. There's a lot of mentions of the Covey, which was also tied into the Bairds. I just got to the reveal that Wiress and Mags are their mentors. It's like literally when they got to the point where they were like, oh, they don't have mentors, like we gotta get some random people to mentor. I was thinking like Wiress, Beetee, Mags will probably be in this book at some point because like they have already won at that point. And so that was in fact true, and like literally next page, boom, Wiress is a mentor, and I was like, Mags is gonna be a mentor for sure. And then she came in, then she gave Haymitch a big hug. And the thing is, like, these cameos all make total sense because even in the movie, I remember there's this line in Catching Fire where Haymitch is like, they're talking about Mags, and I think Katniss says something about like her being an old woman. I don't actually remember what she says, but then Haymitch is like, yeah, that's Mags, she's actually a really sweet lady. Like that's literally already part of the series, and then giving this backstory just makes sense. So I'm a big fan of the cameos. Keep them coming. At this point, I don't know who else they could include. President Snow has made a cameo. I forgot to mention Plutarch. Plutarch Heavensbee? Is it Plutarch? No, it's definitely not. It's definitely Plutarch. I am loving Plutarch Heavensbee's role in this book so far. I don't know if he's gonna do more later, because I assume once Haymitch enters the arena, he won't really be seen until the end, maybe. I imagine he'll probably come back at the end and there will be some sort of like alliance between him and Haymitch, you know what I mean? Because in Catching Fire, Plutarch and Haymitch are the ones really like masterminding the whole thing together. And since the 50th Hunger Game, like 25 years before, Plutarch already has this very contained sense of rebellion against the capital. Like, he is a peacekeeper, but he's so smart, like, for real. Like, he's like, oh no, don't kill Lenore Dove. I think, like, we need to get her reaction. This would be, like, a beautiful opportunity. Like, he's smart with it. And Haymitch is kind of clocking it, but he's also like, there's something sus going on. But I feel like at the end, we're gonna really see their alliance come to fruition. So yeah. What else do I need to talk about? The reaping scene was insane. When they called the second male tribute and it wasn't Haymitch, I was like, wait, what am I reading? And then immediately, of course, that all went downhill, and then Haymitch was chosen. All very sad. And I also have gotten to the part, big spoiler alert, where Luella has passed, unfortunately. And literally, I was writing in my notes, as I do. I was like, Luella's gonna die, and it's gonna be like a Rue situation. And then legit the next page she died. Like, they're not even in the arena yet. So, big spook. But then I think the last thing I have to really talk about is the fact that Haymitch, his whole life is literally Katniss. And I'm sure it was done on purpose, which is so smart. It's so smart. It's so smart. Because, like, when I was reading it, so, like, it starts with, like, Haymitch, and, like, he's got this little brother, and he's with his mom, and then it's, like, and yeah, his dad died in the mines, and I was like, Katniss's dad also died in the mines, and she has a little sister, and is living with just her mom. Like, it was when the dad died in the mines that I was like, this has to be intentional. And then, like, him sneaking out to the meadow, Katniss does that. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. He's 16 years old. He has his name in the pot 20 times. In the first Hunger Games book, she's also 16 years old and has her name in the pot 20 times. So it's all very you-know-what. Yeah. I think that's all I have to talk about. I keep thinking about, like, when Haymitch meets Katniss and Peeta, specifically Katniss, I guess, and he's like, you know, he's on the train and he's just drinking his life away, and, like, that's the first time we see Haymitch in the Hunger Games series. And I'm just like, first of all, thinking about, like, what's gonna happen throughout this book, and then in between the next, like, 23 years between this and that, like, how miserable his life must have been with, like, experiencing what he's gonna experience in this book. And then also, like, seeing Katniss get picked, or, like, volunteering when he knows her mother and her father, and, like, all that. Oof. Oof. It's too much to think about, and thinking about, like, how that must have, like, actually, there must have been so much going on in his mind that he just was not letting out. It's crazy. So yeah, I think that's my quarter quell update. But yeah, at this point where I'm at right now, I think I'm about to start chapter 7 or chapter 8. I don't know. But they're in training right now. And that's all I got. So yeah. See you at the 50th percentage point. I'm sure I look gorgeous right now. Don't talk about it. Wyatt just died. He's the first of 12 to die And I have no words. Like, out of all of them, I'm glad Macy Lee didn't die because I love Macy Lee, so like it had to be Wyatt, I fear, but like he didn't deserve that. He didn't deserve that. So despite me literally being in bed, there's no better time than right now to fully, quickly discuss where I'm at in the story right now. So first of all, the reveal of Amber being Beatty's son. Don't even. Beatty is so nice, but obviously if you read the book, you know he's being punished by having his son in the games and having to mentor his son, which is just horrible. So first of all, that's devious. Second of all, Effie Trinket. Y'all, I literally, as I was reading, like, she kind of, you felt her coming, you know, like, they were talking about the stylist and all that, and, like, getting their outfits together for the interviews, and I was like, is Effie gonna show up? And she did. And she's, like, I love that she's always been, like, helpful and kind and, like, genuinely, like, not being horrible to the tributes like so many people are. She's out of touch, but she's nice, and sometimes that's all you can accept, you know. Also, what else? Plutarch Heavensby, I love his whole thing. He got Haymitch the call with Lenore. He's giving Haymitch tips in the arena, period. Like, I think it's so funny. Haymitch is just like walking, like Haymitch isn't doing anything, and yet everyone's giving him the most OP strategy. Like, Wyrus and Mags, they're telling him all these hints. Beatty's setting him up to like break the arena. Plutarch has like giving him literal hints from the game makers. Like, Haymitch is just like he hasn't done anything and he's getting all these hints. It's crazy. And so yeah, now he's in the game. So far, out of the important people, Wyatt has died. I just can't stop thinking about how Haymitch, when we see him in the Hunger Games, like the series, the actual series, he is like an alcoholic and all alone. And so I have a feeling that that's not just like over time his family just happened to die or whatever. I think something bad's gonna happen to his family in this book, and something bad's gonna happen to Lenore. So I don't know what's gonna happen. Like, maybe he's gonna break the arena and then as a punishment for that they're gonna die. I don't know, but I'm so scared to see what happens because I fear it's gonna be sad. That one's for Wyatt. Horrible news. The PDF I've been reading is deleted, and the library book hasn't come in yet. It maybe will be soon. I don't know. But I found an audiobook on YouTube, and I just read chapter 18 where Amber dies. It's so sad. I'm fully gonna have a mental breakdown. I need I can't. If you want to know where I am in the book, I'm at the part where okay, first of all, I think I already said this, but I'm listening to the audiobook. So I was really like, I'm in it. Like, I'm really like, I'm experiencing it as it happens. I'm not like reading ahead or anything. And I just got the part, Macy Lee and Haymitch are back together. And he just said, like, do you remember what he said to Ampert when you made him his token or whatever? And she goes, sure, I could be your sister. And then he says, good night, sis. I'm gonna throw up. They did the thing where they tried to explode the water tank, and it worked kind of, but it didn't actually do a whole lot of damage to the arena. So Haymitch was then alone. He went into the woods. He's trying to find the north boundary. Then he ends up getting lost in the forest maze thing. He comes out. He gets attacked by 3 careers. He kills 2 of them, and then one is Panache or whatever his name is. And Panache is like about to kill him, and then that's when Maisie Lee does the blow dart at him and gets him. So now him and Maisie Lee are together, and it's so sweet because I love Maisie Lee. Don't get it twisted. Like I'm loving her character. And that was such a sweet moment that just happened, and I was genuinely like so yeah, that's where I'm at right now. It's so much. So I'm on like chapter 20, I think. Yeah. Okay. So it's been a day. I've given myself a moment to really sit with the book. And so I'm here to give my like final thoughts, review, analysis, everything. So obviously, first of all, the ending of the book was devastating. Like I knew and predicted early on. I think everyone knew that it was going to be a sad ending because of like when we meet Haymitch in the Hunger Games, like the main series, he's totally like out of it. He's like an alcoholic. He's all alone. We don't know of him having any family. All we know is that he's been through the Hunger Games and that he is the mentor to 2 kids every year, and there's never been another District 12 winner, so he basically is just like watching kids come through and then be killed in the Hunger Games. And so that's all we know about him in the beginning, and this book definitely ends with that sadness. It's honestly horrible. So I'm gonna go through basically like the in-universe, like Haymitch character arc, everything that was so beautiful about it, and then also talk about Suzanne Collins, the author, like what she was really trying to get across with this book, which I think like every time she writes a book, it's just better and better, because like with Trump being president and whatnot, it's just more and more relevant. It's so good. So I'm gonna start with the real world Suzanne Collins, what she meant with everything. So a huge thing in this book is propaganda, and like that's been a thing throughout the Hunger Games, of like how in the interviews how Caesar Flickerman is like having them talk about like, oh, and what are your strengths, at all, like making a show out of it. That's what the whole Hunger Games really is. And Haymitch thinks about this so often because right from the beginning, there's the reason he even gets in the Hunger Games is because of going to protect Lenore Dove. But then that's all wiped from the footage. It ends up being presented to the Capitol and all the other districts as like his name being picked. That's something, and then also the thing with everyone having to fake their reactions just to get a moment with Haymitch before he leaves. That's horrible. And then like there's just a ton of stuff that is shown as edited, which is so cool because we've never really seen the behind the scenes like this before, because Plutarch is sort of allies, I guess you could say, with Haymitch, so he's giving him a bit more insight. And also Haymitch is actually seeing a lot more footage of the game than I think people normally see. So there's just so much, like Luella's death is completely cut from the footage. when he returns and he sees the actual footage of his games, the deaths are out of order. There's things that are missing, like the game makers that were caught in the arena, that's gone. All of it is crazy. And so that's a major thing. And even the beginning of the book, the like around where the dedication is, literally a quote from like 1984 or George Orwell about propaganda. Like, this book is about propaganda and how harmful it is and how easily it is to be manipulated by it. And that's just like more and more important. And I love that she like really focused in on that specifically. It's just fire. It's just fire. And then the other major thing, okay, actually there are two other major things. One being, I guess I'll start with, okay, one being the fact that making change in the way that like Catching Fire, Mockingjay made change takes decades of like real work, and to like you gotta put in like the baby steps to get to that big finale, because a major part of this book is the fact that Lenore Dove and Macy Lee, both as they die at separate times obviously, both make Haymitch promise, whether it's the pinky promise or it's, oh, I can't with the pinky promise. They make him promise that he will find a way to take down the games. And especially after Lenore Dove's death, Haymitch sees this as like an impossible challenge, and that he's been sentenced to life is like how he describes it, because of he's going to be like burdened with this thing that's impossible, and that it's like a Herculean task, like he can't do it. But we know obviously in 25 years he will be able to do it, and he does play a major role in taking down the Hunger Games. And I think that's like, this ending is so directly in the text horribly devastating, but like thinking ahead to what he will eventually have, it's like bittersweet, because it's like he is able to do it, this like huge thing. Oh, so much, it's so crazy. So there's that. So yeah, the whole idea of like plan and organize and take the baby steps to make the change you want to see in the world, and it will eventually work its way out if you stay committed like Haymitch did. Oh, it's crazy. And then the other thing I was going to talk about was the fact that like even in the face of the Capitol's oppression and like the way that they try to divide everyone up, the tributes all like in the 50th Hunger Games, it was the most allies that had ever been on one team together, like unheard of. Just, it's so sweet, like seeing how everyone was working together for this common thing of like wanting to take down the games was just so like really got me. And like the fact that even in the most inhumane situation of them being put into this horrible thing, like Haymitch had his alliance with Ampert, like such a sweet thing. He gained a sister with Maisy Lee, like Lulu, even after she was like when she replaced Luella, like, you know what I mean? Like, he found so much love in this place that was designed to be hateful. Oh my god, like crazy. But then that makes his ending even worse, because they all die, obvi. And then his family dies, and Lenore Dove dies, so there's a lot. But like, yeah, that's like my main like real world interpretation of this story. So like, it's so important, so relevant, always. Suzanne, like, you know what you're doing, girl. And then, okay, now I'm gonna talk about like Haymitch's arc. I've kind of already touched on it, but basically I mainly want to talk about the fact that there's this line that he says in the epilogue, because okay, I haven't even talked about the epilogue. let me gather. Okay, in the epilogue, we see Katniss and Peeta again. First of all, like reading when the Hunger Games, or when I read the actual Hunger Games books, like for the first time, they had been out for like years at that point. And so like being like this book was just released and I'm reading like real like new info, new content about Katniss and Peeta, I'm like I was so gagged. And then what was I gonna say? Okay. Yeah, most of my stuff comes from the epilogue, but there's a line in the epilogue where Haymitch is like talking about Katniss and how she is the Mockingjay and the symbol of the revolution, was the one to finally do what he couldn't, which I think is kind of crazy because she didn't know what she was doing. He was the one behind it all, making her the Mockingjay, so that's debatable. He's humble. But what was I gonna say? He talks about how he's like, I don't know if, you know, she's way smarter than me, or maybe she's just luckier. And I fully believe that she was just luckier. That like, but the thing is, it wasn't luck even. It was like, he, in his position in the 50th Hunger Games, couldn't have done what she did because he didn't have the people organized around him supporting him from the back. But by the time Katniss gets to that position, Haymitch, has people ready to help fuel this. It's like, babe, you are, like, Haymitch, you are the Mockingjay, like, low-key. Like, I don't know if that's going out on a branch, but a limb, not a branch. But, like, Haymitch low-key is the Mockingjay, because he's the one behind it all. And no one's even talking about it. So, I just think his story is so sad because he could have done all of this stuff and been that like symbol of the revolution, but it's just like the world just wasn't ready for him, and so he made the world to be ready for Katniss. I'm fine. What else? I'm obsessed with the fact that like he saw Katniss grow up from afar, because after Lenore Dove died, he pushed everyone away because he knew President Snore would kill anyone who's near him. And so that's why he's pushed into this life of isolation, which is horrible, so sad. But then he eventually like opens himself up to Katniss and Peeta, and I think this story just like gives like this makes Haymitch's arc, because it's like you get to see him when he's this like, he's the rascal, he's like this boisterous, I mean that might be a little far, but like he's more like he's ready for action, like he's ready to take down the Capitol, he's doing all these moves. And then when we meet him, he's talking about like, you never get off this train, like just read from the script, like, because he's trying to protect them, and he knows that if they don't, Snow is gonna kill them like he killed Lenore Dove. And it's just like, it just shows how he gets so burned by the Capitol and Snow. Yeah, it's just horrible. It's horrible. And then in the end, he's like with Lenore's ghost, or it's a hallucination, but I'd like to choose that it's her ghost. Also, Lucy Gray has a tomb, which is like, okay, so she's dead. I guess that's still kind of up to interpretation, but I personally think she's dead. But also, she's apparently like Macy Lee's grandmother and also related to Lenore Dove. Gee, unless Macy Lee's grandmother just happened to know that song. But I was loving like the connection to Lucy Gray, especially at the end when he literally saw the footage of Lucy Gray at the reaping or at her interview or whatever, looking, oh my gosh, and it's literally her looking and like smiling off to someone at the side, and it's President Snow. The connections are connecting. Also, okay, I think this is my one final thought, because I saw someone saying that like the amount of cameos that are in this are like wild, which is true. There's a lot of cameos, literally everyone, but it's done very tastefully. Like it all makes sense and connects to the lore. Yeah, like the Effie, I'm obsessed with the Effie content, how she's sort of the one to, she's really, like, at the end, she's all Haymitch has, essentially, which is really sad, because he doesn't even fully, like, embrace that. But yeah, like, when he's like, I started sleeping with a knife because of, like, his nightmares, and then Effie being there when he wakes up holding the knife, being like, why are you holding a knife? All that, yeah. It just, like, all the cameos made sense. The connection with Plutarch being such a long thing before Catching Fire makes so much sense. All the other, his mentors, like Mags, Beatty, Wiress, all that makes total sense, so I'm fine with it. And also, there was something else I wanted to say, but maybe I don't know. I guess that's it. But yeah, like, he literally, maybe let's not be so sad. Maybe let's just see this as a happy thing, because he succeeded and he did what his sister and his Lenore wanted to do. So yeah. Him and Lenore, I'm sick. Like, I'm sick. There was so much, what time was it? Period. There was just so, like, they're so sweet. And the whole, like, she was the one getting him through the entire games. I'm just glad they were able to have their final moment before she was poisoned. So yeah, that's all. I love you like all fire.